Tonight on Capitol Hill, a tense exchange cuts straight to the heart of America's national security ambitions and their limits. During Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing, Senator Mark Kelly zeroed in on one of the most ambitious and controversial defense proposals in decades, the so-called Golden Dome Missile Defense System, a project with a price tag that could start at $25 billion this year alone and climb toward $500 billion or even $1 trillion over time.
Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I want to talk about the proposed Golden Dome Missile Defense System. There's a request to spend $25 billion in this year alone. First of all, is this system designed to intercept a full salvo attack?
Senator, it's a multi-layer system that would include different types of salvos. Obviously,
so it's not just Rogue Nation. Okay.
Well, it's meant to. Yes, it's not meant to be just one nation. It could be utilized in
against Russia
scenarios.
or China, full salvo. So, what kind of reliability are you aiming to build into the system? Are we looking for something like 4 nines on intercept success? 99.99% reliability.
Obviously, you seek the highest possible. You begin with what you have and integrating those C2 networks and sensors, building up capabilities that are existing with an eye toward future capabilities that can come online as quickly as possible, not just ground-based, but space-based,
so
all
future
aspects.
Against future capability, too. So do you believe that we can build a system that can intercept all incoming threats? You think we could build that system? This is a very hard physics problem.
You would know as well as anybody, sir, how difficult this problem is, and that's why we put our best people on it. We think the American people deserve it.
So let me tell you what I think we're facing here. You're talking about hundreds of ICBMs launched simultaneously, varying trajectories, MIRVs, so multiple reentry vehicles, thousands of decoys, hypersonic glide vehicles, all at once. And considering what the future threat might be, it might even be more complicated than that. And you're proposing spending not just $25 billion, but upwards of, I think CBO estimated this at least $500 billion, other estimates, $1 trillion. I am all for having a system that would work. I am not sure that the physics can get there on this. It's incredibly complicated. So I want to get to another issue that you're facing here. How much of the staff of the Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation did you cut?
After collaboration, sir, with the service departments, the Joint Staff, and others, we identified that as a place where there were redundancies and multiple additional layers that were unnecessary.
I'll tell you what you cut. You cut 74%.
Most of it. That's what I was going to say.
Most of it. And was your decision to cut more than half of the Pentagon's Testing and Evaluation Office staff driven in part by concerns about the office's plan to oversee testing of Golden Dome?
The concerns were not specific to Golden Dome, sir. It was years and years of delays unnecessarily based on redundancies in the decision-making process that the services, COCOMs, and the Joint Staff, together with OSD, identified as a logjam that was not helping the process.
To get the reliability we would need, you need something that's at 4 nines, 99.99% reliability, with all these challenges. And you cut the staff of the people who are going to make sure this thing works before we make it operational, before we give it to the warfighters. You got to go back and take a look at this. But I also strongly encourage you to put together before we spend $25 billion or $175 billion or $563 billion or $1 trillion, put together a group of people to figure out if the physics will work. You could go down a road here and spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of the taxpayer money, get to the end, and we have a system that is not functional. That very well could happen. And you're doing this just because the president, and I understand your role as the Secretary of Defense. You got to execute what the president says. But this idea, might not be fully baked. And you can get in front of it now and figure out and find out if you put the right physicists on this. And I'm not saying go to the big defense contractors. going to scientists, and I know there's a questionable relationship with this administration and scientists, but go to some scientists, figure out what we would have to do to build a system, and then make smart decisions before we spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars.
Senator, we're doing that, leveraging existing technologies and not premising the project on aspirational technologies, what we can actually do, and would welcome.
Well, $25 billion in the first year is a lot of money. That's more than just figuring out if we have the ability to build a system that can handle a full salvo threat, hypersonic glide vehicles, MERS, thousands of decoys. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Senator Kelly. Senator Sheehy.
Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss our deep dives into the decisions shaping global security and your tax dollars. At first glance, Golden Dome sounds reassuring, a shield over the United States capable of stopping incoming nuclear missiles before they ever reach American soil. But Senator Kelly, a former Navy pilot and astronaut, immediately framed the question that matters most. Can this system actually stop a full-scale attack? Hegseth described Golden Dome as a multi-layered system, combining existing missile defenses with future ground-based and space-based technologies, not just a defense against rogue nations, but something potentially usable against advanced nuclear powers like Russia and China. That is where the conversation shifted from politics to physics. Kelly pressed on reliability, not just whether the system could work sometimes, but whether it could work almost perfectly. In missile defense, anything less than near perfection means catastrophe. We are talking about intercept success rates closer to 99.99%, not 90, not even 99. Hegseth acknowledged the difficulty, calling it a hard physics problem. And that phrase matters, because missile defense is not like shooting down a single rocket. It means stopping hundreds of intercontinental ballistic missiles launched simultaneously, each carrying multiple warheads, surrounded by thousands of decoys, mixed with hypersonic glide vehicles that can maneuver unpredictably at extreme speeds. In simple terms, it is like trying to stop a swarm of bullets that can change direction mid-flight, while being blinded by thousands of fake targets, all in a matter of minutes. If this kind of analysis matters to you, subscribe now so you stay informed beyond the headlines. Kelly made it clear he supports missile defense in principle, but he questioned whether science can realistically deliver what the proposal promises. And then he raised an even more troubling issue: oversight. The senator revealed that Hegseth had overseen cuts to the Pentagon's Office of the Director of Operational Test and Evaluation, the very office responsible for independently testing whether weapon systems actually work before they are deployed to warfighters. Not a small trim. According to Kelly, most of the staff was cut. Hegseth defended the move, arguing the office had become bogged down by redundancies and delays, slowing innovation and deployment. He framed the cuts as a way to streamline decision-making and speed up capability development. But Kelly pushed back hard. His point was simple and devastating. If you are trying to build a missile defense system that must work nearly perfectly under the most extreme conditions imaginable, why would you weaken the independent testing office designed to catch failures before they cost lives? This was not a partisan jab. It was a warning. Missile defense failures are not theoretical. A system that works 90% of the time is still a system that fails catastrophically 10% of the time. And in nuclear warfare, there is no margin for error. If you want more clear, fact-based breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and stay with us. What this exchange revealed is a deeper tension inside U.S. defense policy: speed versus scrutiny, ambition versus physics, and political promises versus technological reality. Golden Dome represents a vision of absolute security, but Senator Kelly's questioning reminded everyone that no system is better than the testing that proves it works. Cutting oversight to accelerate deployment may save time, but it could also introduce risks that only become visible when it is far too late. As this nomination process continues, the questions raised here will not go away. How much should the U.S. spend chasing near-perfect defense? Can science keep up with evolving threats? And who makes sure these systems actually do what they promise before they are handed to the people whose lives depend on them? If you want continued coverage that explains not just what happened, but why it matters, subscribe to the channel now and stay informed.